Pressure is an important concept that helps us understand how forces work over different areas. It is all around us, from the air we breathe to the way we use tools and machines in our daily lives. What is pressure? Pressure is the amount of force applied to a certain area. Imagine if you press your finger against a table. The harder you press, the more force you apply. Now imagine that force spread out over a large area, like pressing your whole hand against the table. The pressure you apply with your finger is greater than with your whole hand because the force is concentrated on a smaller area. The formula for pressure. Pressure increases if you apply a larger force or if you apply the same force over a smaller area. Everyday examples of pressure. 1. Inflating a balloon. When you blow air into a balloon, you are increasing the air pressure inside it. The air molecules push against the inside walls of the balloon, making it expand. 2. Walking in snow. When you walk in snow, you might sink if you are wearing regular shoes. However, if you wear snowshoes, you spread your weight over a larger area, reducing the pressure on the snow. This keeps you from sinking. 3. Cutting with a knife. A sharp knife has a thin edge. When you cut something, the force of your hand is concentrated on that thin edge, creating high pressure. This high pressure makes it easier to cut through food. Why is pressure important? Well, it is used in many ways to make our lives easier and safer. For instance, in medicine, doctors measure blood pressure to check your health. High or low blood pressure can indicate health problems. In transportation, car tires need the right air pressure to work properly. Too much or too little air can cause problems when driving. And in science, pressure is used to understand weather patterns. High and low pressure areas help predict weather changes. Here's a fun fact about atmospheric pressure. We live at the bottom of an ocean of air called the atmosphere. The air above us pushes down with a force we call atmospheric pressure. At sea level, this pressure is strong enough to support a column of mercury about 76 centimeters high in a barometer, which is a tool used to measure air pressure. Want to see pressure in action? Try this simple experiment at home. Take a plastic bottle and fill it with water. Poke a small hole near the bottom and cover it with your finger. When you remove your finger, water will squirt out. The pressure from the water above the hole pushes it out. If you squeeze the bottle, the water will come out faster because you are increasing the pressure inside. Understanding pressure helps us understand how forces work in our world and allows us to use that knowledge in practical ways. Keep exploring and experimenting, and you'll see how pressure plays a role in many aspects of life.
Things that fly in the air. Birds, they have wings and feathers that allow them to fly. Their lightweight bodies and strong muscles help them generate the lift needed to soar through the air. For example, eagles, sparrows, and hummingbirds. Airplanes. They are man-made vehicles designed for air travel. They have wings, engines, and a streamlined shape to generate lift and thrust, allowing them to fly long distances. For example, commercial jets like the Boeing 747 and small private planes like the Cessna 172. Helicopters. They have rotating blades or rotors that generate lift and allow them to take off and land vertically. They're used for various purposes, including rescue missions and transportation. For example, the Bell 206 Jet Ranger and the Sikorsky UH-60 Black Hawk. Kites are lightweight frames covered with material that can be flown in the wind. By holding the string and adjusting its angle, you can make the kite soar and perform tricks in the sky. For instance, diamond-shaped kites and stunt kites are popular choices for enthusiasts looking to enjoy a breezy day. Drones, or unmanned aerial vehicles, can be controlled remotely. They are employed in a variety of fields, such as photography, surveying, delivery services, and even recreational flying. Take, for example, the DJI Phantom and the Parrot Anafi, which are widely used for both professional and leisure purposes. Hot air balloons use a burner to heat air inside a large balloon. making it less dense than the cooler air outside. This causes the balloon to rise and float gently in the air. You might have seen colourful passenger balloons, often a highlight at festivals, gracefully drifting across the sky. Gliders are aircraft without engines that soar by riding air currents and thermals. They are designed to be aerodynamic and can stay aloft for long periods. For instance, sailplanes used in competitive gliding. Paragliders are lightweight, free-flying aircraft with a fabric wing. Pilots launch by running off slopes or cliffs and use thermals and wind to stay airborne. An example of this can be seen with recreational paragliders in mountainous regions. Bats are mammals capable of flight. They have wings made of a thin membrane stretched over their fingers and are active mostly at night. Consider, for example, fruit bats and vampire bats. Many insects have wings that allow them to fly. Their small size and lightweight bodies enable them to hover, dart, and maneuver with agility. For example, butterflies, bees, and dragonflies showcase these incredible flight capabilities. Paper airplanes are simple, folded pieces of paper designed to glide through the air. They are a fun and educational way to explore the principles of flight. You can see this in the various designs, such as the classic dart or the glider. Rockets are vehicles propelled by engines that expel gas at high speed. They are used for space exploration, launching satellites, and sometimes as fireworks. Notable examples include NASA's Saturn V and SpaceX's Falcon 9. Each of these flying objects uses different principles of aerodynamics and propulsion to stay in the air, showcasing the diverse ways in which flight can be achieved.
The movement of objects through the air is governed by several principles of physics. Understanding these principles helps explain why birds can fly, planes can soar, and kites can stay aloft. Here are some key factors that contribute to the movement of things in the air. Lift is the force that allows an object to rise and stay in the air. It is generated when air flows over and under the wings or surfaces of an object. The shape of wings, also known as airfoils, is designed so that air moves faster over the top surface than the bottom. This difference in speed creates lower pressure above the wing and higher pressure below, producing lift. For example, birds, airplanes, and gliders use lift to stay airborne. Thrust is the force that propels an object forward through the air. Thrust is generated by engines in airplanes or the flapping of wings in birds. It overcomes the resistance of air, known as drag, to move the object forward. For instance, jet engines produce thrust in airplanes, while propellers provide thrust for helicopters and drones. Gravity is the force that pulls objects toward the Earth. It affects all objects in the air by pulling them downward. For an object to stay in the air, the lift must balance the force of gravity. If lift is greater than gravity, the object rises. If less, it falls. For example, hot air balloons stay aloft by making the balloon less dense than the surrounding air, counteracting gravity. Drag is the force that opposes an object's motion through the air. As an object moves through the air, it collides with air molecules, which slows it down. Streamlined shapes help reduce drag. For example, airplanes are designed to be aerodynamic, minimizing drag to move efficiently through the air. Buoyancy is the upward force exerted by a fluid, like air, that makes objects float. If an object is less dense than the air around it, it will rise due to buoyancy. For instance, hot air balloons rise because the heated air inside the balloon is less dense than the cooler air outside. Let's explore how the principles of flight apply to different objects. First, let's look at birds. Birds generate lift with their wings and thrust by flapping. They use their tail feathers to steer and control drag. Moving on to airplanes, which have engines that produce thrust and wings that create lift. Pilots adjust the flaps and ailerons to control lift and drag. Lastly, kites fly by creating lift with their shape and balancing it with the tension in the string and wind. The angle of the kite to the wind, known as the angle of attack, determines how well it flies. Here's a fun experiment to see these principles in action. You can make a simple paper airplane. By folding the paper into a specific shape, you create wings that generate lift when thrown. Adjusting the wings and adding small weights can change how the airplane flies, demonstrating the effects of lift, thrust, drag, and gravity. Understanding air pressure and its applications is fascinating. Air pressure might seem invisible, but it plays a crucial role in many aspects of our daily lives. Let's explore what air pressure is and how we use it in different ways. How do we measure air pressure? Well, we use an instrument called a barometer. When you hear weather reports talking about high pressure or low pressure, they're actually referring to the readings from a barometer. Let's talk about the everyday applications of air pressure. First, breathing. When we breathe in, our diaphragm moves down, creating lower pressure inside our lungs compared to the outside air. This difference in pressure causes air to rush into our lungs. This process allows us to take in oxygen, which is essential for our bodies to function. Next, drinking with a straw. When you suck on a straw, you reduce the air pressure inside the straw. The higher pressure outside the straw pushes the liquid up into your mouth. This simple demonstration shows how air pressure can help move liquids. Then, inflating a balloon. When you blow air into a balloon, you increase the air pressure inside it. The pressure pushes against the inside walls of the balloon, making it expand. Balloons are great for parties and games, and they demonstrate how air pressure can change the shape of objects. Also, weather forecasting meteorologists measure air pressure to predict the weather. High pressure often means clear, sunny skies, while low pressure can bring clouds and rain. Understanding air pressure helps us know when to carry an umbrella or plan a sunny day at the park. And airplanes flying. Airplanes fly because of differences in air pressure above and below their wings. The shape of the wings creates lower pressure on top and higher pressure underneath, generating lift. This principle allows huge airplanes to carry passengers and cargo across great distances. Lastly, vacuum cleaners. Vacuum cleaners create low air pressure inside them. The higher air pressure outside pushes dirt and dust into the vacuum. This makes cleaning our homes easier and more efficient. Here's a fun experiment to try to see air pressure in action. Take a plastic bottle and fill it with water. Poke a small hole near the bottom and cover it with your finger. When you remove your finger, water will squirt out. Why? Because air pressure pushes down on the water, forcing it through the hole. Understanding air pressure helps us see the invisible forces at work in our world. From breathing and weather forecasting to flying in airplanes and using everyday tools like vacuum cleaners, air pressure is a powerful and fascinating part of science. Keep exploring and you'll find even more amazing ways air pressure impacts our lives.